dodge bullets, baby.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
There it is. Doyle's done it.
Eastgate steps into poker history.
This is the greatest sport in the world.
Stop the beat.
Hail!
That's right, the Poker Brat is back.
Life really isn't too bad.
And tonight, you and Phil Hellmuth's opponents may be subjected to unsportsmanlike antics, infantile remarks,
You are an idiot.
and some very good poker.
Oh, I got the nuts. I got the nuts.
I care too much.
I passed the test. Jesus.
I love the game so much.
Yes! Yes!
I have such passion for the game.
To you, it's poker, man. To me, this is my life.
When it spills over a little bit, that's good. When it spills over way too much, I think it's bad.
Idiot from Northern Europe.
He may be brash.
I can dodge bullets, baby.
He may be brazen.
If there weren't luck involved, I guess I'd win every one.
But he is certainly one of the best of all time.
There's the rest of the world, and there's me.
And tonight, Phil Hellmuth's Day 2 main event journey unfolds.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad in an absolutely bursting Rio poker room.
Day 2, baby. Let's get him.
Embedded in the crowd are several former main event champions, a slew of big-name pros, and 2009's top performers, including the now 7-time winner Phil Ivey, who's eager to play for the top title in poker. Still, the best will have to compete with the rest.
All the way, baby. All the way.
Players like Frankie Gay, whose motivation is a celebration of his son's memory.
See if I can hold it together, my emotions.
2008 is in the house as well, including Player of the Year Eric Lindgren and defending main event champ Peter Eastgate. Also playing is fellow final table member Dennis Phillips, who will have to compete with Michael the Grinder Mizrachi over at table 2.
You want to stay away from the 1 and 2 seeds.
There you go. Works for me.
But at the featured table is the one man who is sure to make the most noise, 11-time bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth.
I apologize for any bad beats I put on people. I was playing every hand on day 1, Avi. You ever seen me play every hand?
Phil talking to Avi Mukherjee.
No, never, right?
Phil and Avi played a lot of cards together in the San Francisco Bay Area. Todd Wittelis is not an old friend of Phil Hellmuth's.
Wittelis is one of the online players who helped uncover the ultimate bet cheating scandal. Phil is a paid representative of the company.
On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Camp, Phil Hellmuth with 8-7 of clubs.
This is a new Phil Hellmuth this year. He told me he's going to be more active and not back down to big raises as easily.
Phil raised it to 1,500. Ben Springer's a 22-year-old from Miami with 6-5 offsuit. He's going to repop it to 5,200.
Everyone wants a piece of the poker brat. It should be a carnival concession.
Around to Wittelis. His cards go into the muck from the big blind.
This is the first hand of day 2. Let's see if Phil came to play.
He did. He's calling.
Okay, let's go, kid.
It's going to be your last hand, Phil.
I think you're just going to double me up for no reason.
Heads up to the flop. Flop is Jack 5-6. Hellmuth with an up and down straight flush draw, but Springer's hit 2 pair.
You wouldn't kid me about a straight flush draw on hand 1 lot, would you?
No, indeed. Hellmuth checks. Springer's hit the 5-6, bets 4,100.
I think it might be my last hand. I think you're right.
It's a coin flip right now.
You got aces?
It certainly feels like aces. Springer's re-raised pre-flop and now bets here.
All right, I'm going to raise it.
Phil's going to raise.
I'm all in.
All in? And a quick call. How can he not?
My goodness. This is a very new Phil Hellmuth. First hand day 2. All his chips into the middle on a big draw. And his main event at risk.
So that's what you get for calling 8 high pre-flop. I don't know what to tell you.
Phil Hellmuth looking a bit sick, knowing his main event could be done within seconds if he doesn't catch a card. Turn card is a club. Hellmuth hits the flush.
No celebration from the poker brat yet. Springer's now looking for his full house. A 5 or a 6 still sends Phil Hellmuth out of here.
The river card now. Deuce of clubs. Phil will double up.
I told you I'm not going easily. I will call a re-raise with 7-8, so you better not have 5-6, buddy.
Hellmuth sends out a message with that hand and, of course, a little victory speech.
I came to play today. I didn't come to lay down, son. I came to play.
Phil with a little zigzag in his game. Everyone should be on full alert. Never at a loss for words, Phil Hellmuth has stated to anyone who will listen that he is the greatest tournament player on the planet. And Norman, while it may pain people to admit it, just looking at his record, it's hard to argue.
There are two Phils, the poker brat and the poker legend. The brat is Emperor Helmuthicus, a preposterous cartoon figure, a man who berates lesser mortals at the turn of a bad card. The legend holds World Series records for bracelets, final tables, and cashes. And 20 years after his landmark main event title, who says Hellmuth can't do it again?
Phil made a nice run in last year's main event, finishing in 45th place. There's nothing ever easy about winning this World Championship, Norman, especially with Phil Ivey still in the game.
One of my Phils, Mr. Hellmuth, has never won a non-Hold'em bracelet, and this Phil, my perpetual pick for the main event, has never won a Hold'em bracelet.
And this Phil puts out a bet of $10,000 after the river to Jonas Molander. Molander lays it down, and we've been saying it a lot in this main event. Phil Ivey takes the pot.
Ivey's been my man to win the main event for the last 7 years.
Ivey not the only player who's had a great World Series thus far. Nobody's had a better year than this man, Jeffrey Lissandro. He's won 3 bracelets. He leads in the Player of the Year standings. In fact, only one man out there can catch him, but he might be losing a chunk of his chips at this time. Billy Walbeck looking for help against the pocket kings of Joel Fishbein.
To win the hand, Walbeck needs an ace or an 8.
River card is an ace, and Walbeck has been running that good this year.
See you next year, buddy.
And Fishbein has been eliminated.
It's all over.
To have a chance at Player of the Year, Walbeck will have to at least make the final table.
Meanwhile, the 2008 Player of the Year, Eric Lindgren, is all in, but ahead with pocket queens against the jacks of Craig Ivey. Turn card now is a 7.
Only a jack or a 10 would knock out Lindgren.
River card, is the jack, and that crushes Eric Lindgren, who's been knocked out of the main event. Eric's been running that bad at this World Series.
In the locker room, we call this guy the other Ivy. And the 08 Player of the Year sees an appropriate ending to a somewhat miserable 2009. He let me down again.
Back to the featured table where Phil Hellmuth doubled up on the first hand played courtesy of Ben Springers, who tried to bully Phil but wound up paying off the poker brat. Springers starts the action with ace queen of hearts.
You know, the empirical evidence is really building up against playing ace-queen line.
He raises to 1,300. I think you're right, Norman.
What a sense of rematch here.
I hope so.
You hope so?
I really hope so.
It always is Phil against the world.
Action on Hector Lopez, 31-year-old teacher from Spain with 10-7 of spades.
In the small blind.
He makes a call for 1,050 more. Hellmuth in the big blind. 8-4 offsuit. He calls.
Boy, it's as if Phil's body and soul are now occupied by some idiot from Northern Europe.
The flop 6-5-7. Hellmuth hit an 8 high straight. Can you believe it?
He keeps playing rags and flopping straights. We saw him do that twice on day 1.
Springers with a nut flush draw. Lopez and Hellmuth check. Springers, who made a World Series final table last year, will bet it out 2,800. Lopez now. He got top pair. And he's going to raise it to 6,700.
Oh, that's the 4% hand that's check raised.
Yeah. Hellmuth now.
Yeah, Phil, you got the straight.
Just with a call. Springers now. It's 3,900. And he will come along.
So Phil smooth calls, and Springers is going to behave here and hope for a heart.
Turn card now. 3 of diamonds. Phil Hellmuth still best with that straight. Lopez drawing dead. He checks.
Phil said, this year I decided let's play poker, and I don't ever recall him mixing it up this much early in the main event.
16,000 is the bet from Phil. Springers gets out of the way.
Boy, I'm surprised Springers folded his draw. I thought he was just itching to river Phil.
All in.
Lopez check raise all in, drawing dead. And a call from Phil. Hector, it's time to book your flight home.
All in, the last words we will hear from Hector Lopez at this main event.
It's called pre-flop, Phil.
Oh, my goodness.
I told you, I'm going to play with you all day, son.
I hope so.
Phil always making fast friends.
And Lopez will make a fast exit from this main event.
Hector could have given his idiots from Northern California speech.
He flopped an unlikely straight, and Phil is over 96,000 now.
You were drawn live?
Ace, queen of hearts.
Wow, that's so sick.
The Springers got out just in time.
Maybe I should have shipped it on the flop. Maybe you call.
Phil's game talking almost as loudly as his mouth so far tonight. Almost. For a time, they were the most famous men in poker. They were the 2008 November 9 And today, 5 of them are still in the field. Let's go over to table 2 in the Rio Poker Room. Last year's third-place finisher, Dennis Phillips, and 3 others saw a flop of 4-6-6, couple of clubs. After a check and a bet, action is on Michael Mizrachi, who hit trip sixes.
He's got a load of talent, but still no bracelet.
See if you guys look excited. You don't look too happy. You're not even interested, so I'm gonna raise.
Player announces
Cases the joint, gets the lay of the land, and it's going to put some money in.
28-year-old pro makes it $11,000.
I see Dennis Phillips has Mike Sexton's autograph there on his cap.
I figured you were going to mention that.
Well, I guess he hasn't had a chance to ask you or me for ours.
Phillips with a nut flush draw makes the call. John Kincaid folds. Troy Dodge. With ace king, he gets out of the way.
Phillips in bad shape here.
Turn card now. Jack of hearts. Mizrachi still best with his trips. Grinder puts out about half the pot, 16,000.
Oh, Dennis Phillips should not chase his flush any further.
Got a very big hand.
So do I. That's a big draw, not a big hand, Dennis.
How big is it? Well, 1 to 10. Pretty sure I know what you got.
Okay. Dennis doesn't seem impressed.
Dennis going to take a flyer. Makes the call.
That's a loose call.
All right, let's see a river card. It is a 5 of clubs, and Dennis Phillips hits his flush.
Mizrachi tried to talk Phillips into folding before the river, and now Dennis got lucky on him.
All right, check.
Grinder checks. Phillips with a tiny bet, 15,000.
Yep, and that's the sound I make when I'm 15th in line at the bank and there are only 2 tellers.
Flush draw.
Grinder's radar is up and operational.
Grinder gives up his trips.
And he shows the 6 to Dennis.
No show?
Dennis should have folded it. He ended up winning it.
Michael Mizrachi did all the right things, but got unlucky. A nice pot for Phillips. He's up to almost 100,000.
I'll tell you later.
Dennis, you're such a beast.
Not me, never.
Dennis talking with Maria Mayerneck, a pro from Brazil.
Are you like the Grinder's father or something?
I don't know if that's an insult to you or not.
No, it's like a compliment to all of you. You're all beasts.
Call him the sun, please.
Dennis hopes to join an elite group who have made back-to-back main event final tables in the last 25 years. Dan Harrington did it most recently, and 3 players, Alto, Johnston, and Smith, went back-to-back together in 85 and 86. 4 others of the November 9 trying to do that. Darus Suharto.
No chance. Too nice a guy.
Kelly Kim.
No chance. He shouldn't be texting.
Elon Schwartz.
No chance. He doesn't comb his hair.
And the defending champ, Peter Eastgate.
No chance. Who's he think he is? Dan Harrington?
Eastgate happily fulfilling his poker ambassador duties right now. Not only did he claim $9 million, he claimed a piece of poker history that used to belong to Phil Hellmuth. As most know, Phil likes to keep a tight grip on the numerous World Series records he holds.
Back in 1989, I was 24 years old, and I was telling the whole world that I was going to win the main event. I had a tremendous amount of confidence.
Hellmuth wins the championship.
Maybe a sense of destiny.
So Phil Hellmuth Jr. at 24 years of age becomes the youngest player ever to win the World Series of Poker.
It was an honor to hold the youngest world champion title for almost 20 years, and then along came Peter Eastgate.
Peter Eastgate, 22 years old, the youngest main event champion ever.
That was the icing on the cake. It always feels good to beat Phil Hellmuth, especially because he cares so much about it, and I care so little about it.
That record stood for 19 years. But that's a record that's okay that I lost, you know, because I can't do anything about it. If someone puts a bracelet up, or puts a bunch of cashes up, or puts a bunch of final tables up, I can do something about it.
Please put your seatbelt on. Turbulence is coming.
Now it seems like I'm in perfect rhythm and harmony.
I'm in a bluffing mood today, baby.
And I'm poised for a long run in the main event.
Now we're playing the game.
Staggering numbers, 11 bracelets, 40 final tables, 73 World Series cashes.
I didn't come to fold, Avi. Not today. I'm playing poker, baby. For 5 years, I've been folding here. You make day 6, whatever. I mean, you know, I want to win this year.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to win the last 20 years. He was just here for the buffet.
All right, action continues at this feature table on Todd Wittelis. Wittelis with King 9, and he folds.
Wittelis won a bracelet in 2005.
Phil Hellmuth Trey
Raise it.
4. He's going to raise with that.
Helmuth just raised with 4-3 off. I have alerted proper casino personnel.
Springer's with 10 Trey. And he folds.
No re-raise?
Once in a while. Next hand, I promise.
Well, Springers has really opened the door for Phil's needling. Over to Erasmus South. Ace 7 of hearts in the big blind. He's going to call.
The weak ace. It is a suited ace.
Masouth is from Brazil, not Northern Europe, so Phil needs a new shtick. Masouth pairs his 7 and checks. Phil reaching for chips, hoping to buy it with 1,800.
Phil Helmuth has a new playbook, and I believe it was published in Northern Europe.
Let's play a pot, man.
Careful what you wish for, Phil.
I make a C bet, you pop it. Pretty standard.
I raise.
Raise.
Phil apparently gave something away there.
Dang it all. Did you raise it?
Yeah, nice read by the 25-year-old.
I'll lay this one down.
4,400.
Live lessons from the pros. It pays off for Masouth.
Phil smiling and bluffing. Who is this guy?
Good raise, man. Good raise.
Phil's smart enough to know when to retreat.
That's my plan. Bluff, bluff, bluff. They move in, I'm going to show them the nuts.
He likes to advertise his strategy, but will this table pay him off?
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, 648 players will finish in the money. Their winner will get $8.5 million. There is Frankie Gay, who shared many an hour playing poker with his son Pruitt before Pruitt was killed in action in Afghanistan. Frankie and his supporters, including Frankie's fiancee Shay Walker, are here in memory of Pruitt. Frankie facing a bet from Jesse Mudiker that would put him all in.
From his looks, I don't think Frankie wants to risk ending his main event at this moment.
And you are right, Norman. Frankie does lay it down and shows a pair of kings.
Straight flush.
So Mudiger will take that pot from Frankie Gay. He and the entire Playing for Pruitt group trying to hold on to this experience at the main event as long as possible. Well, if Mel and Pat Humphreys are on the rail, Norman, it must mean that Phil Ivey is playing nearby, and there he is.
The Humphreys have been with Ivey longer than I have.
Phil's going to take in another pot. What's he getting a call? Phil, forget about the big game for the moment.
The Humphreys, of course, know Phil from Atlantic City when he used to play stud with them at a very young age.
Ivey began the day with 84,000 chips. Not so flush is Ivey's friend Howard Lederer.
In 2006, Ivey bet Howard $100,000 he would shoot 72 at TPC Las Vegas within 10 years. I like Howard in that bet.
Howard's going to lay this hand down. He is struggling today with just about 15,000 chips.
Oh, man. Gosh, I just talked myself, bro. I swear to God, I think I just talked myself, bro.
Robert Williamson III does tend to talk a lot, apparently enough to have Jamie McCarroll raise Williamson all in.
Robert's been rubbing his temples a lot during this World Series.
He's only got about 7,000 left, so probably committed here.
Best I can hope for is you have two queens. I call.
Well, they both have top pair. McCarroll, though, has top kicker.
This is my dinner you're going to ruin. Queen!
Turn card is a 4. No help to Robert.
Robert has to have a queen.
The river card now is a 10, and that will end Robert Williamson III's main event.
It's been good playing with.
Robert Williamson won a bracelet in 2002, but he has only one cash at the World Series in the last 2 years. Lately, it's been too many all-in calls, not enough Tabasco.
In the shadow of the 2009 main event bracelet, it's time for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. We conceal one player's whole cards while you at home and Norman try to figure out what that player is holding. Phil Hellmuth from the button with ace-queen offsuit.
Oh, man, ace-queen can only lead you to the valley of unhappiness.
All right, I predicted you and I, kid. Raise it up.
3 times the big blind, 1,500 on Daniel Vorbeck. He has the wild card hand. 22-year-old student in Denmark. Vorbeck will come along for $1,250.
Ooh, I get to be Phil here. I think this idiot is playing a suited 10-5 just trying to mess with me.
Why you want to get in the way?
Springer's the big blind folded.
Oh, you might have the best hand, I see.
Maybe Vorbeck's lucky and he doesn't speak English.
Flop is 9, Trey 5, 2 clubs. Vorbeck checks.
Phil might be thinking that flop probably missed Vorbeck, so let's go with a continuation bet here.
Better make a little bet of 1775, I'll bet.
1775.
He should have bet 1,800. That's a mistake.
All right, let's see what Vorbeck does now.
I don't want to shut myself out and bet too much here.
Phil's talking a little too much here. Last time we heard him chirping, he didn't have a hand either.
Vorbeck with a little nod makes the call.
Now I think he's got either that pair of 5s or a club draw.
Turn card is a 10 of diamonds. Phil gets no help. Vorbeck checks again.
With his check, I don't think he's got the 2 pair 10s and 5s. I just think he's trying to get a free card with a flush draw.
Phil checked as well. River card now is a 9 of clubs that pairs the board. 3 clubs on the board, too.
I had him on a club draw. Uh-oh. Smells like a Northern European flush.
Vorbeck comes in with 4,200.
Phil cannot call here. He can only beat a bluff.
Wow, I think you have 2 8s.
42.
8s? You can't even beat 8s.
He thinks he can beat him. Vorbeck turns over.
Ace 9.
Ace 9.
Phil was behind from the flop on. I'm stunned he called. It's as if he's trying to prove he's not tight anymore.
Trip 9s for Vorbeck on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
Freaking 9.
What were you thinking there?
A 9 for him.
What were you thinking there? Ace high?
Springer's chiming in.
Ace high. Of course ace high. If I raise on the button, I'm calling you 2 down with ace high every time. What do you want?
I hope so.
And it's going to be a snap call.
No chips
You hit
left.
your weird kicker, you win. If you don't, you lose.
This isn't exactly the valley of unhappiness. It's just the suburbs.
Oh, that was a gift.
You can't help it, though. I make it look like I have nothing you had to call. Right? I do. I hypnotize them.
Phil, we are all under your spell. Back to the Rio and the 40th Annual World Series of Poker. Right now to table 2. The grinder is just a bystander as Dennis Phillips and Maria Mayernick are jousting. Pocket aces for Phillips, pocket 7s for Mayernick. She just bet 2,100 after the flop.
Phillips had just called pre-flop in the big blind with his aces.
Dennis raises to 6,100.
It's either all or nothing. I think I'm ahead.
Maria is not ahead, but she knows every single Beatles song by heart, which should count for something.
Doesn't make sense if it's a set.
It's not a flush draw or a set.
That raise should tell her something.
Is it?
Women love asking questions. Men hate answering them.
You won't raise with a set. I mean, you could, but...
Ah, look at him. He's capable of anything.
He's got the best hand he raised.
Call.
And Maria calls. All right, the turn card now. It's a king of hearts. Dennis adds a flush draw. And he checks.
Dennis slows down unexpectedly.
Maria checks behind.
Maria better hope she sees a 7 of diamonds.
River card. 8 of clubs. Phillips earns the check mark.
You know, there's room on his cap for my name over Mike Sexton's.
5,000 chip bet.
For a so-called amateur, that's a nice value bet to get a call on the river.
Weird spot, pot, everything.
It has befuddled Maria.
I'm going to make the worst call. I call.
Call.
She calls. Aces are good. Dennis Phillips with a nice hand there.
Remember the Beatles song, Maria, The Long and Winding Road.
Dennis over 100,000 now. Not bad if you're trying to get back to the final table. Another player working to get back to poker's promised land is Avad Khan, a member of the 07 main event final table.
He's transformed his poker persona, but he still plays well.
Avad does speak softly, but carries a big stack. Avad's play over the last 2 years has proved he is not to be taken lightly, and he explains one of his more memorable hands in this Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net. In the 2007 main event, Avad was more animated than we see him now, and in this hand, he had to contain his excitement as the board improved drastically.
I had King 8 and John Calmer limped in. He's been pretty aggressive. So when he limps in, I think he's going to call if I raise, but I only have King 8, and I really don't want to keep putting in more chips. So comes Ace 10 8. He checks. I check.
Turn card now is another 8, and what a card for Avad. Trip 8s.
400. Now a super fast call to make it look like I'm on draw. The quick call usually implies weakness.
These two go to the river.
So when he checks to me, I decide to overbet because when he checks, I mean, he's either check folding or he's going to call me right away with an ace because he thinks I'm drawing because that's what I was trying to show him.
Kalmar with an immediate call.
And he can kiss those chips goodbye.
The key moment, of course, is hitting the 8 on the turn for trips, and the second key moment was the quick call. And then the third key moment would be to overbet in the river. All those three work together. So it's very important how I played the entire hand.
A much quieter Avad Khan letting his big chip stack do the talking for him. Elsewhere, If you can read upside down, you know that bling belongs to the Prince of Poker, Scotty Wynn.
And I don't think there's anything that could quiet Scotty.
In a hand right now with Ray Itomitsu, a deuce on the river. Scotty bets out 9,000.
Got beat out. I can tell everybody got beat by one of the best, if not the best.
Actually, right now, Scotty not talking. His opponent is.
I have to see what you have, Scotty.
Itomitsu calls. Scotty shows queens up, but kings up will win the pot.
Ace queen for Scotty. Flops top pair, top kicker, and loses.
I thought you had triplets.
All right, let's go to Peter Eastgate after the turn. His ace queen, a big underdog to the ace king of Matt Benson, who's all in. River card is a 5. Benson wins and doubles up.
Benson is an immigration attorney. This is a good place to be.
So the reigning world champ giving up some chips to the 05 champ Joe Hashem, who's in a huge hand right now. Joe flopped 9s full, but he's crushed by the quad aces of Michael Meredith.
Imagine having a full house and you are drawing dead on the flop.
Meredith checked.
Got a full house.
Joe checks and sees he's lucky to get out alive.
How do I lose the minimum? How do I lose the minimum?
What a hand. Flop quads versus a flop full house.
How do I lose the minimum there?
Well, for one thing, Meredith didn't bet the river, and then Hashem, who flopped 9s full, had a 6 cents and didn't bet himself.
What a hand out there. Back now to our featured table where Phil Hellmuth has had a very profitable day so far. Blinds at 250 and 500. Phil with queen deuce of hearts.
15.
He's going to raise it again.
Phil Hellmuth under the gun raises with queen deuce. Please contact missing persons.
37-year-old Todd Vitellis with pocket trays.
He used to be a software engineer.
And that card protector of Head & Shoulders shampoo is because he's known as Dan Druff. He makes the call. Matt Calhoun from Phoenix, ace 10 offsuit, makes the call from the small blind. Big blind folds, so 3 players to the flop. It is deuce, tray, 8. Vitellis hits a set of trays. Hellmuth, a pair of deuces and a flush draw. Calhoun first to act, left with ace high, checks. Phil checks.
3,000.
3,000 is the bet.
And with his set, 3,000. Calhoun folds. Phil calls.
That's a quick call.
We heard Avad Khan say earlier that a quick call usually means you're on a draw. Good tip.
Turn card 7 of hearts. Hellmuth turns a flush. Vitellis with outs, though.
Maybe Phil has relocated to Northern Europe.
Wow. Phil checks.
All in.
All in.
Vitellis makes the move. Shoves his last 10,900 in.
He's understandably all in, but he's not going to understand the hand Phil is going to turn over.
It's going to be awfully tough for me to fold this. Just 1 second. You make sure I have it.
He's going to check his cards? He does. He calls.
Phil kind of slow-rolled him on that.
Wow. Vitellis sees he's in big trouble.
Yeah, Vitellis now at risk, and he can't believe what he sees from the greatest tournament hold'em player of all time.
Under the gun, queen deuce of hearts.
Phil's got all his victims muttering in disgust.
Man.
And in response, Phil is simply speechless.
I get lucky against Phil once, right?
Vitellis needs to board the pair or he's gone.
River card is a jack. Hellmuth wins the hand and knocks off Todd Vitellis.
Phil claims another victim with another un-Hellmuth-like hand.
And Vitellis can't believe he was knocked out by Phil Hellmuth.
Pretty civil shake. I gotta tell you, the new Phil Hellmuth is very sexy.
He has nearly quadrupled his chip stack since the day began.
When he bet 3,000, I just thought, wow, I think he might have a set.
So far, it's all good. No complaints from the Poker Brat.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, plenty of action and plenty of stories going around the room.
I heard you flopped a full house against quads.
Drawing big, yeah. But I lost only 4,000.
What?
I lost 4,000.
In that hand?
Yeah.
Lon, that might be the first good beat story at the main event.
Well, Jordan Farmar was part of a feel-good story when his LA Lakers won the NBA championship this season. Looks like he's continuing that good fortune here.
And we double-checked our research from the other day, Lon. No one has ever won an NBA title and the main event.
Meanwhile, big-time Laker fan Phil Ivey is behind his pocket sixes and straight draw trail the 2 queens of John George after the flop. George all in. Turn card gives Ivey a straight.
So George now will need a 6 or a spade to stay alive.
The river card is a king of hearts, and Ivy comes from behind to win the hand. George eliminated.
The great ones get lucky from time to time. My man Phil would get up to shake John George's hand, but he is paying for the massage.
Ivy over 100,000. Back to table 2 now. A lot of top players over here. Action's going to begin on Michael Mizrachi. Queen 4 of hearts.
Anybody look excited?
Grinder raises to 1,500.
Grinder seems a little bored.
Dennis Phillips also with more than 100,000 chips. Queen 9 suited into the muck. Maria Mayernick, King Queen suited, and moves all in.
Mayernick has a degree in sociology. That's generally worthless, but she used to work in Brazilian film and TV as a writer.
Action on Grinder.
Looks like you have ace jack of clubs.
It's what it looks like.
With full, but I mean, that's what it looks like.
Michael folds.
Wait, you even picked the suit? Add diamonds.
What?
Close to where you were.
Ace jack of diamonds?
No, it's not ace jack. Ace jack is not premium enough for me to shove on the Grinder.
That's a big hand against me.
I know. No, it was better.
Maria has
Way
3
better.
World Series cashes to her credit. She's got a lot of uphill work to do if she wants to cash in the main event with just a little more than 14,000 chips right now. Back to the feature table. Phil Hellmuth has gotten the best of Ben Springers and nearly everyone else seated here during this day 2 session. Springers and Hellmuth do seem to have a little something going at this table.
Folding away those chips. Oh, you raced away a lot of chips before you hit the 5-6. Looked like you were in a hurry. Like you had a plane out of here. No, I'm staying here till November. Well, I'm booked for the next 4 months.
It's the Phil Hellmuth and Ben Springers show, starring Phil Hellmuth and Ben Springers.
Phil Hellmuth looks down at King Queen of hearts.
I can't limp.
And he does raise to 1,200.
Phil in aggressive mode.
Min raise to Springers with Ace Queen off.
It's Ace Queen again. I believe Hamlet was holding Ace Queen the day he was poisoned.
Re-raise to 4,500.
Springers has position on Phil all day. It's just like ergonomics, Lon. It's position that counts.
All right. Put those chips in. Ah?
Phil makes the call.
Have them ready for me. You have the 5-6, I have the 7-8. I'm going to check it again.
I love the check in the dark. It can be so perplexing to the other player.
Flop is 7, deuce, ace. Springers hits top pair.
Springers has position and the best hand.
Phil already checked. With the ace, Springers bets 5,500.
All right, this time I'm going to let you steal it from me, okay?
Not a steal, but he's got Phil's chips.
Strong hand.
It's the Phil and Ben show, starring Phil and Ben. They would be great on a morning zoo drive time talk radio show together.
As Ben stacks his winnings, a smattering of applause.
There's going to be a lot of that today, so. Son, I'm just going to have to bust you before dinner break if you continue with that attitude. It's nothing personal, though. But you want to play with me? Let's play. I'm here.
Welcome back to the Rio. Here's a look at main event champions who own the most bracelets. Hellmuth leads the pack with 11. Scotty Wynn is the most recent world champion to win a bracelet, taking down the $50,000 horse title in 2008. And there is the 98 world champ. He re-raised Brandon Lee pre-flop. Lee called almost 10,000 in the pot, a king on the turn, and Lee checks.
Scotty's been silenced this entire World Series, only 1 cash.
Scotty bets 3,000. Lee bets enough to put Scotty all in. Scotty calls. Lee with kings up. Scotty aces up.
Good spot for Scotty. Has to avoid a king or a 10.
River card. Oh, it's the king. Lee Rivers a full boat to knock Scotty out.
Boy, a flash sends Scotty out of this main event.
Brandon Lee knocks off a main event champ.
Scotty said if he didn't win $4 million at this World Series, he would retire from poker. He only won 33 grand, but I don't think he's retiring.
You know what's sick is I bet on Scotty over Ivy getting like plus 115 or something like that. By knocking him out, and I cost myself a couple $100 against my buddy.
You bet against Phil Ivy, kid? That's like betting against High Tide.
Meanwhile, there is Phil Ivy in a hand right now with David Wickham. 65,000 in the pot after the river. Ivy reaching for chips, bets 45,000 into Wickham.
Well, Phil's massage is over, and he is back to full strength.
No, I don't think you're putting your tournament on the bluff. You could be. I'll let you have it.
Wickham lays down a set of 9s to Phil.
And Phil Ivey looking better and better. He doesn't say a word, but he's making noise.
He has improved his chip stack today. Back to Howard Lederer, who just moved all in for his last 8,600 against California telephone engineer Greg Mayberry after a flop of 4 Jack 8. Mayberry's going to lay it down to Howard.
Howard still looks a little beleaguered. Not many chips.
I had it.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Howard Lederer knows how to bluff his way around a poker hand, but there's no bluffing at the chess table, which he'll try to prove to my partner in this edition of Heads Up with Norman Chad.
Today, Howard Lederer, a.k.a. the poker professor and former chess master, will do battle with me on the board as I pepper him with questions. Can this chess chump checkmate me heads up? Good luck to you. Good luck. What's your rush? Would you rather be a chess grandmaster or win the main event?
I want to win the main event.
Watch this horse. When I played chess, you were not allowed to do that. You and your father used to play chess a lot, and then you never played again. What happened?
I beat him twice in a row.
And he said, that's it?
He said, that's it.
You're off to a quick start. I don't think you imagine that bishop will take pawn. I have the first piece. That wasn't very fair. I'm in trouble. Would you have hired Joan Rivers or your sister Annie Duke on Celebrity Apprentice?
Well, that wasn't even close. Annie crushed that game, and she should have won.
Oh, look, Wayne Newton.
You're in big trouble. You better think of some good questions quickly.
People. Doesn't Annie sometimes just get on your last nerve?
She's my sister.
Yeah, she should irritate you.
She's been irritating me for 43 years. Ooh, no, you don't want to do that.
That check?
Mate.
Mate as in we're friends? Congratulations.
Well done.
Very well done.
Good math.
You play checkers? I don't want to make excuses, Lon, but I had a sore right ankle that day, and it really restricted my Sicilian defense.
You go right into the lion's den. First golf with Dewey, and now chess with Howard. You have moxie, my friend. Phil Hellmuth jousting with another guy who has a lot of moxie, Ben Springers today. Action on Springers with Ace-Jack.
Big surprise, huh?
Raised to 1,600.
Back to the Phil and Ben show. It's like John and Kate without the kids.
Now 25-year-old Canadian pro Jan Dayan with 8-7 of clubs. And he raises to 4,200.
Well, he shouldn't get in the middle of a neighborhood dispute.
No kidding. Now Hellmuth, 9 deuce of clubs in the big blind.
Phil shouldn't be in the middle of anything with those cards.
Phil's going to re-raise it to 13,000.
Phil getting very frisky with Squadouche.
Wow, I stand corrected. He has cornered the market today on Moxie.
I can't blame Springers if he folds here. That's 2 big raises behind him.
Yeah, he folds his big ace. Now Dayan.
Yeah, that's the sheriff over there, son.
Yeah, he gives it up. Phil takes another pot.
Hellmuth with the bluff. He took advantage of Dayan's raise and represented a monster with the re-raise. He's an alien force today.
Over 100,000.
You're not the one I wanted. I wanted him.
It had me in there if you just call.
I'm going to be picking up a lot of pots with nothing, so you guys are going to need to get change from me all day, I think.
Phil laying down the gauntlet.
But just when they call me, I'm going to show them the nuts.
Phil having fun at the feature table. Let's go out into the field and find Frankie Gay, who just called all in with King 5 offsuit, with his fiancée, Shay Walker, looking anxiously on. Melanie Banfield holding pocket sevens is a big favorite to knock Frankie out of the main event.
Frankie and his family had put together Pruitt's poker room for his son for when he was supposed to return. Pruitt was a member of the 173rd Airborne 2nd Battalion, U.S. Army 503rd Infantry.
Flop was no help to Frankie. Turn card is an ace. Banfield still best.
Frankie's going to need a 10 or a king.
This may be the last card in what has been a very emotional main event for Frankie Gay. The river card is a 5 of spades, and that will do it. Banfield wins the hand. Frankie Gay knocked out of the main event. A tough moment indeed. Banfield collects the last of Frankie Gay's chips. The hours that he played in honor of his late son Pruitt, though, will remain with him forever.
son got killed last year in Afghanistan.
Druin and 8 others died in battle on July 13th, 2008.
I was here for the troops and my son, and it was a long road, but I enjoyed it.
Frankie Gay's road at the World Series has come to an end, but it's merely another step in the long journey of healing he has been on for the past year. He came here to honor the memory of his son and the others that fell that day, and honor them he did. Welcome back to the Rio and the second day 2 session of the main event. Let's get right to table 2. Dennis Phillips and Maria Mayernick are spectators as the Grinder and 2 others are going to the flop. Michael Mizrachi with 10-9 of clubs, Kelly Slay with King Jack offsuit, and Larry Bernstein has pocket trays.
Grinder is grinding away today and getting nowhere.
The flop is deuce 8 Jack. Mizrachi does flop a straight flush draw. Slay, though, hit top pair.
Another straight flush draw. I'm in main event heaven.
Bernstein with pocket trays bets 4,000. Slay with a pair of jacks makes a call.
I raise.
Player announces raise.
There is a raise coming on. Alert shipping and receiving.
Mizrachi makes it 11,006.
How much behind?
About 3,000.
That is unusual.
Just trying to figure out why you didn't put it all in.
So I can get you off the turn.
Slay has the best hand with the jacks, but the Grinder would be a favorite with that draw. Slay bets enough to put Michael all in.
I want you to do that, but I got a big flop.
Grinder calls to put himself at risk.
Nice.
Kelly Slay will try to knock him off, and he's getting support from his wife, also named Kelly.
And they're happy. Hey, next time I got to marry someone named Norman.
Grinder at risk.
Queen of clubs.
That would be a good card. Tray of hearts does not help.
Whereas Rocky is going to need a 7, queen, or any club, or Kelly and Kelly knock him out of here.
The river card is a king of spades. King's up for Slay, and he knocks off Michael Mizrachi.
Tough sledding again for Mizrachi at the World Series.
Kelly Slay says he's read over 50 poker books. Somewhere in there must have been knowledge on how to knock off Michael Mizrachi as he signs off from the World Series for another year without that gold bracelet he so desperately wants.
Okay.
All right, let's get back to our feature table where Phil Hellmuth has been the man of the hour, but not for his tirades, more for his poker, Norman.
Well, if you're paying attention to Phil today, you're paying attention to his new style of play.
And that new style of play has gotten him a lot of new chips on this day, too. Action folded around to Phil Hellmuth. He's chewing on something, maybe beef jerky. This is the Jack Link's beef jerky pocket cam. He's got 1 queen. He has pocket queens.
I love beef jerky, Lon, but I might suggest smaller bites.
Raise to 1,800 from Phil. Over to his arch rival, Springers. Ben has King 9 offsuit. And a re-raise again from Ben.
Ben and Phil have been bickering dance partners all night.
Let you guys fight it out.
Wise move, Avi. Raise back to Phil now.
Can't keep playing scared poker all day.
They keep trying to get into each other's head. I have never wanted to be inside Phil's head.
Phil with pocket queens.
Raise it up a little bit.
And Phil is going to re-raise to 10,000.
Hellmuth originally raised, Springers re-raised from the button, and now Hellmuth re-pops it. It's like a game of chicken, except Springers has no chicken wings.
I take it back. He does still have moxie. A re-raise back to 26,000 now.
Wowie.
Boy, Springer's picking a fight and praying that Hellmuth has no fight in him at this stage. Springers has 4 betted here. Phil's got to wonder if he has aces or kings. The old Phil would lay this down. Let's see what the new Phil does.
I'm going to raise it. I'm all in.
Another raise all in. This will put Springers all in. And Springers gives up.
Game of chicken over.
Ben doubled Phil up early and now gives more chips away.
I mean, I don't need the nuts, kid.
What's the other?
Well, obviously I have queens. I'm not shipping with ace queen.
Phil shows the queens.
That's a difficult decision for all my chips, but I went with my read.
That's right.
I thought you had ace jack or 2 jacks or something. I don't know.
Well, worse than that.
But I told you, look, I don't care if I'm eliminated today. I really don't. I'm going to trust my instincts. They want to play with me, I will play with them.
And Phil's playing some intriguing poker today. On day 2, the name of the game is still survival.
Wow.
And many of the game's top players are doing just that.
As long as you're here, you got a chance, yeah?
But while a select few are even thriving, many more are saying goodbye, including the professor, who was unable to duplicate his chess table success at the poker table. But for the more than 1,800 players that are still alive in this field, day 2 continues.
I didn't come to lay down, son. I came to play.
For Norman Chat, I'm Lon McCarran. More to come from day 2 as the main event rolls on.